What are the benefits of collaborative practice, Yvonne?
I think the biggest benefit is the commitment that the couple makes to have a cooperative and respectful divorce that preserves the relationship, and that's especially important if they have children. The relationship is going to change, but it will be a more professional or business relationship afterwards. That's hard to achieve after a litigated divorce. It's much easier to transition to that co-parenting business type relationship after the divorce if you have had a non-adversarial and cooperative divorce, such as the collaborative process.
Any others?
Well, as I touched on in my comments, the collaborative divorce is probably the best thing you can do for your family if you need to get divorced. It's an investment in the health of the family and in the future of the children, the future well-being of the children. That's the biggest benefit, I think.
I think a large benefit is, litigation is really about what the behavior of the spouses were in the past, what they did, and how I can use those past bad behaviors to bolster my position in court and to prove them wrong. But collaborative process is really about looking into the future and looking at how we can make mutually agreeable decisions to have a better outcome where we will sustain that outcome and both be financially secure and meet the needs of everybody involved at the end of that process, which litigation does not offer at all.
And what I recall from each of your presentations were, I think it was Laura that talked about privacy.
Yeah.
Want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah. When you go to court, there's a document that gets filed that opens up a case, and everything is a matter of public record. So it's very important, if you value your privacy and you don't want things to be aired out publicly in any way, that you try the other options, really, because this is really the best way to keep it in the room, if you will, and not out in the public.
And it seems to me that one of you mentioned and talked something about control.
Yeah, I said that several times.
Okay. Want to repeat that again, or?
Sure. If you and your spouse are getting along at least relatively well, I know if you're divorcing, it's a jump to think you're getting along at all, but if you're getting along well enough to work through it together, chances are good that you're going to be able and willing to share information. That's going to give you a sense of control. So in these situations, what I've seen is if the wife asks the husband for documents and they're communicating and they're cooperating and it's a transparent process, he provides them, she can see them, she gains some control by asking for information, gaining it, and taking it. He's willing to give her a little of that control because he knows she now needs it so that she can go into her future and take over her own financials, for instance. So that's in part the control issue. It's a not giving up of your whole self, your whole psyche to the other person just because they left. It's not being a victim in it. It's taking responsibility and taking control of it.
And in the collaborative process, control really has two prongs. Laura's just talked about control, parties maintaining control over the process. There's also far more control over the outcome. Anybody want to speak to that at all or not?
I mean, in litigation, when you go in front of a judge and you say, I want A, and this person wants, the other person wants B, you decide, oftentimes you end up with C. Oftentimes you end up with something that's either a mesh of the two or something that neither one of you wanted, or X or Z. So, yeah, when you have a perfect stranger making these decisions in your life, that is not what you want to be the outcome in your future from now on. You really want to maintain control over the decisions. And even if you aren't agreeing now, The commitment to the collaborative process means that you will commit to keep control of those decisions and are gonna work with a coach or with your attorneys to put everything out on the table and to make an outcome that works for you.
And the other thing I wanted to add to this, the collaborative process allows you to be creative with your plans. You know, if you go to court, you have a cookie cutter formula that some judge applies according to his interpretation of it. But you and your spouse, with the help of the professionals who give you information, help you see things in multiple different ways, you can come up with a creative plan that no court would ever impose, a plan that's based on your child's best interests and needs, or your ex-spouse's best interest and needs, as well as your own.
That really is a critical point to keep in mind, that in litigated cases, if there's an actual trial and the judge is left to decide the outcome of the case, that judge is much more limited in terms of what he or she can do in fashioning a final order than the parties themselves can agree to, that as long as the parties agree and it's within the boundaries of the law, the judge will almost always approve a settlement. Important point to remember.